What could you learn from Tarek El Moussa in 30 minutes about house flipping? What's it like to be the real estate rockstar Tarek El Moussa? You're in for a treat today, Real Talk member. We're going to hear from Tarek El Moussa. If his name doesn't sound familiar, perhaps his co-hosting of the program Flip or Flop will ring a bell. El Moussa got his real estate license in 2002 at the age of 21. He had a lucrative career selling real estate until the 2008 economic crisis, when the business he shared with then-wife Christina Hack began to struggle. At that time, the couple had no choice but to give up their $6,000 a month home to move to a $700 a month apartment. The pair then ventured into a new real estate strategy, flipping houses. During their first flip, El Moussa submitted an audition tape to HGTV that followed the pair's process of flipping a house. The network picked up the show, which has seen a popular 10-season career, with season 10 set to premiere on HGTV in December 2021. Despite the couple's divorce, they continue working together on Flip or Flop, with Tarek saying to people, "From the beginning, HGTV has shown Christina and me tremendous support, and we're excited to go out there and flip many more houses for Flip or Flop." In 2020, El Moussa launched a second HGTV show, Flipping 101 with Tarek El Moussa, in which he serves as a mentor to novice house flippers. What would you pay for 30 minutes of one-on-one conversation with Tarek? Luckily for you, Real Talker, we've curated some of the most inspirational tips, advice, and speeches that Tarek has shared. Remember that while listening to his knowledge is the first step, the second and possibly more important step is taking action, even if it's imperfect action. Let's listen in.
I need to have good credit. I need to be able to qualify for properties when this market turns. I need to be in a good position. What if the market does this? What if the market does that? You know what? I'm a real estate investor. I want to flip houses in every single market. Is it going to get tougher as the market shifts? Absolutely. But is there a way to make money? Absolutely. Oh, absolutely, man. I just had this crazy idea back in 2010. I actually pitched the TV show before I ever flipped a house. It was like at the beginning of my first ever flip. It was spring 2010. And I was like, man, if I can learn how to flip houses and do it on TV, I think we have something. So that first year was a struggle, man, but we got it done. Just selling real estate, and then I owned 2 rental properties. 2010 was nerve-wracking, especially in California, because back then there was the California tax credit they had. And I remember the market was doing pretty well, and we're like, man, this is the recovery. And then they took the tax credit and the market softened. I was in the middle of my second flip, and I was like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? But you know, I just put my head down and keep grinding, and it worked out. The reason like people go to schools like Harvard and things like that, it's not really about what you're learning, but it's about the fact that you're able to accomplish such a huge goal at such a young age. What does that tell me? That means you're willing to put your ass to work, and you're willing to outthink and outwork everybody else. And that's the person I want to hire.
Now, let me ask you this. When you said 190 grand?
120.
120 grand, you're 21 years old, you got $1 million house. Did comfort kick in where you didn't start working as hard? You started getting comfortable, or did the hunger stay? Because I'm sure inevitably you dealt with that, right? The comfort of success?
Right, so I made the mistake of, well, one, I had a big ego. Very true.
Yeah. Which is great for television.
Yeah, no, I've had my ego checked in my life multiple times, and every time it happens, it's the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah, true.
So at that point in my life, I was young, big ego, made all this money, big fancy office, I was the hot shit.
120
New kid on
grand,
the block,
yeah.
Well, that was like in 90 days, and it kept coming. So I was like, oh man, so now I'm gonna have a team. So what I did is I hired like 5 or 6 other agents to work under me. Right, so yeah, so I was selling real estate from the age of 20, made quite a bit of money until the age of 25. 2007 came around, 2008 came around, completely wiped me out. My income went from $300,000–$400,000 a year to almost nothing. And at the time I was 25 years old, and I think back then my monthly fixed bills were like $17,000, which back then that was like a lot of money to me.
Right.
And I was like losing it. I couldn't make any money. I went 4 months working every single day, including Sundays. I couldn't make $1. Had to sell my $1 million house, had to sell my fancy cars, and I ended up going 10 steps back in life and moving into a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. And it was like $700 a month. And I remember being in this apartment, there was no parking, there was a laundromat, and I was like, what happened to my life?
Shit, here
What
you
happened
are.
to my S500 Brabus? What happened to my $1 million house? What happened to my motorcycle, my boat, my toys?
Yeah.
Everything was gone.
And you're like, what, 20?
26 years old.
Shit.
So that was a very difficult period of my life. And every single person that said no to me, you know what I thought in my head? You just screwed up. Every single person. I told them that, you just made a huge mistake. You just made a huge mistake. And I finally found someone that was dumb enough to work with me. His name's Pete DeBest, who's now my business partner on all my real estate deals. And he's like, I'll do it with you. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? I was like, yeah, I'll flip a house with you. He's like, how much money you got? I was like, and this was 3 years after the crash, so I saved up a little bit of money. So I had like 30,000.
Sure.
And then I was like, I'll borrow against all my credit cards. So I literally took my life savings and I drained every single credit card I had, and I took the money and we went and bought our first property at the auction in Santa Ana, California. What's funny about that is we paid $115,000 for this condo. And the max I was willing to pay for this condo was $115,000.
Tell us how that happened and then how it unfurled from there.
Well, so I had like even now I have to clear my throat every now and then because of some of the damage from the cancer itself and the surgery. But back then, I was having a hard time clearing my throat and all these different things. And I went to the doctor and I was told it was allergies. And I said, okay, well, you're a doctor. And I didn't think of it. I took the allergy medication and the problems didn't go away. So I went back, he said it was a fatty mass, not to worry. And I said, okay. Kept filming my show, and then I received an email from the nurse out of Texas, Ryan Reed. And she sent it to the production company saying I needed to get it checked out.
Really?
The second I got that email, I knew something was wrong. And I booked an appointment with a different doctor. The very next day, I had an ultrasound, then they took a biopsy with a needle. Came back atypical, which means it could or could not be cancer. So again, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So they wanted to do exploratory surgery. And I was told I'd be under the knife for about an hour. And 5 hours later, I remember I woke up and my wife at the time was just staring at me crying. The first words were, I have cancer, don't I? And she said, yeah.
Wow. So tell me, I'm going to tell you what I read and you tell me what's correct. So after you get diagnosed, you decide to go back and look at your medical records for any irregularities. Yeah. And you find that there was an irregular testicular exam.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild story. So just to be safe, we looked through old medical records and we saw a year prior I had a regular testicle exam, but I never got a referral. The doctor never told me to do anything. So young, busy guy, I just didn't think of it. I moved on. So I'll never forget, it was post-surgery getting ready for my radioactive iodine with my thyroid cancer doctor, and they had a last-minute opening down the hall to do an ultrasound on my testicles.
Right.
So I went down the hall, and 30 minutes later, I'm in the emergency room, and I'm scheduling surgery, and I found out I had a second cancer.
Oh, you said that he was doing the ultrasound, right? And you're just talking, and it's that dreaded thing where he gets really quiet, and you're like, hello? Like.
Yeah, he was a young guy, Huntington Beach, and we were talking and just going back and forth, and he got quiet on me, and I was like, okay. And I said, why are you being so quiet? He's like, I'm not being quiet. And I could tell he was nervous, and he actually said, well, you're in pain, you should go to the emergency room. And I was like, I'm in pain? He's like, yeah, if you're in pain, you should go down the hall. And I was like, oh. So I went down the hall, and then I found out I had cancer.
Were you in pain? Because I wouldn't know the first.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the big things about the Movember Foundation and the whole campaign for April. It's Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and their campaign is Know Thy Nuts. It's kind of a funny name, but 70% of men have never done a self-check, and they also don't know how to do self-checks. And by checking oneself, you're able to find your cancer sooner than later, which prevents it from metastasizing, and you can overcome the cancer, and your success rate is much higher. And people don't realize, especially young men, the most common age group of men that get cancer, testicular cancer, is under 40 years old.
Who knew that?
Yeah, and another shocking stat is over the last 50 years, the testicular cancer rate has actually doubled.
Interesting, wow.
Right, so the whole push with the Movember Foundation, which you can go to Movember.com to figure out and learn how to self-check,
right,
is to just create awareness. And if men actually did that, the amount of survivors would increase substantially.
So I got in the real estate game when I was 20 years old. I was super young. My first 6 months in the business, struck out, made no money, worked my butt off. I was gonna quit. I was ready to throw in the towel, and I came across real estate coaching at 20 years old. I went to a seminar at Sequoia Athletic Club in Buena Park, California, and found out that they had this thing called real estate coaching. And I had no idea that coaching ever existed. I was a kid, I was right out of high school. So of course I was really naive and I didn't know better. So I put $1,000 a month I didn't have on my credit card, and I signed up for real estate coaching. And within 90 days of signing up for that coaching, right around my 21st birthday, I ended up earning $120,000 in real estate commission. So I literally went from being a poor 20-year-old kid to making like $40,000 a month overnight. And I was able to accomplish that success because I had a coach. So growing up, I played every sport possible, and I knew the importance of coaching, right? So the coaching helped me with my sports. It helped me in my business life. And it's always been a passion of mine to give back, coach others, and really help change lives.
That's very important because you look to the very end of anyone's career, Michael Jordan. I mean, he had his Phil Jackson, even Kobe to the end of his year. LeBron James still has a coach. And whether it's a life coach or a career coach, you have to continue to keep learning, because once you don't, and once somebody's not kind of guiding you, you can fall off or never get the start that you really needed in the first place.
Oh, I agree. You know, you got to learn to earn, man. That's the big thing.
Say that again.
You got to learn to earn.
You got to learn to earn. I love that.
Out there, listen, everybody's out there all day, every day, trying to make money or have money by pinching pennies and saving money. So I'm a guy that goes out there, and I don't tell you to save every dollar you have. I tell you to find a job, find a career where you can make a large amount of money. Okay, if you're delivering pizza, you can only make so much money. If you're a project manager, you can only make so much money, right? So you need to find a career where you can earn. And once you can earn, then you can save, then you can invest.
How much money, or where do you suggest somebody be at that point, or the top 2 or 3 basic steps to kind of get into where they can even entertain the flipping process?
Sure. Here's the beautiful thing about real estate. You can get into this business with no money, okay? So when I first started flipping houses, I didn't have any money. So what I would do is I would find the property, find the contractor, run the project, sell the house, do all the work, and at the end I would get 50% of the profit. But there's also another great way to make money. So if someone wants to become a real estate investor and they have no money, $0 to the name, you can drop me off anywhere in the world today with no money, and I will be flipping houses or flipping contracts. So it's called wholesaling. So if someone wants to get into the business and they don't have the money to buy the properties, what they can do is become a wholesaler, which means I go out there, I work, I find a house, they want to sell the house for $300,000, or a signee, meaning my contract says Tarek El Moussa or a signee is going to buy your property, and then I can sell it to another investor for $350,000. So I never actually buy the house, but you make a profit.
The term sweat equity comes to mind. A lot of people don't understand sweat equity.
Oh, here's the key to success. People ask me all the time, are you ready? You got to think super fast. You have to move super fast, and you have to be willing to do 10 years of work in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the key to success.
Man, I love that.
There's nothing else. The key to my success is sitting in an office, not weeks at a time, not months at a time, years at a time, 12 to 18-hour days. That's what it took.
So right now, in the kind of climate we're in, COVID-19 hurt a lot of people, whether they were homeowners themselves, whether you're the landlord and trying to get assistance to help out your people, and even the market right now. In Phoenix, I mean, it's booming. It's a seller's market. I think this week it was rated at a 78. I do real estate as well. I flipped. I failed. I was a flip flop. I had a horrible mentor, and I don't even want to talk about it. But I still try to get involved. Yeah, we try again. But understanding where your market is and kind of where we're at happening in the economy right now, where do you kind of see the opportunity? Does it still exist, or is it kind of pulled back, or is this the time more than ever to become an investor, even though there's going to be people on both sides that are going to be affected by this? How do you do it? I don't want to say with a good conscience, but yes, with a good conscience.
Here it is. It's like there are ways to make money in every real estate market, whether it's stable, whether it's going up, whether it's going down. Okay, it's always a great time to become a real estate investor. Like, you know, when people say, when do you start buying real estate? You say yesterday, right? Real estate appreciates over time. Land is diminishing. The population is growing. The value is increasing. Inflation. I mean, there's so many different things. So right now, because of the coronavirus pandemic, I do feel like we are going to get hit with quite a few distressed properties in the next 12 to 24 months. So I tell everybody to hang tight.
And like I said, if you're living in the places, you know, we got to understand the market, but this is, I think, small business opportunities to where people can understand, well, I got to figure out how to make money somehow. So maybe they can get into real estate somehow, be a part of the deal somehow, whether it's working with sweat equity or not, and be able to get some of these properties so that they can take care of their family in another way that maybe they never thought about.
Yeah, I know, man. I mean, I tell you what, like, obviously I'm big on social media, and I get messages every day, every single day from from families sad and depressed and struggling and crying and fighting to pay their bills and living, paycheck to paycheck. And it just kills me to read that because I know the opportunity out there in real estate. And I just want to take some of these people and say, man, listen, you don't need anything but just hard work. Like, go give it a shot, try it. And it will change so many lives if people just take that first step and they get into the business. It's a life-changing business. Like, listen, I was a broke 20-year-old kid. Real estate changed my life. It gave me everything I have today.
Where do you stand with that? Buy houses, buy land, buy both? What are you thinking?
I'm not going to say buy land because land doesn't generate cash flow. So for me, land's not a good investment.
There you go.
If I was worth $20 billion and I had a couple $100 million to spare and go park it in some land, yeah, that might work. But for those of us that don't have that type of money, go buy something on top of the land so you can generate income.
How do you oversee all that? It's just the delegation aspect. I mean, is it just because you have great teams in place, and do you have project managers that are running each project, or general contractors that are handling for you?
So I have one primary general contractor, and each sales guy, they get a portion of profit. So their job is to find the asset, manage the asset, sell the asset, and they get a portion of profit. So they're incentivized to work hard because the higher the profit, the more money they make.
Okay. So they're coming up with the deals for you at this point. You're not sitting there on the computer digging through every single listing. That's awesome.
I probably haven't done that in 5 years.
That's awesome. Because I know over the years, we've seen you guys on the computer just digging.
Yeah, I mean, we've grown a lot, It's like people don't realize it's a real company. We've done close to 500 houses. We have close to 100 rental properties. And we have TV commercials, we have radio ads, we have sponsored posts across social media, we have other digital marketing tactics. Spend over $1 million a year on marketing alone.
Wow, that's incredible. And I love how real you are, man. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're not afraid to admit that, you really just came up from a space of not really knowing what you're doing. And
it was like, I didn't know anything, like nothing.
That's the reassurance people need, because that's where most people are, obviously, right? And they're sitting there looking at it, and yeah, of course there are products and programs or services that you can invest in and shortcut.
Here's the thing, like if someone wants to get into real estate investing, you just got to look in the mirror and tell yourself you're going to screw up about 100 times and it's okay. Like it's
100 times a month.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's like, what do you got to lose, man? Like you got one life to live. If you want to flip houses, go do it. Go work on it.
So some of the things that I've seen has interfered as a fear point for people along the way has been, family life. And I know you've got a couple kids. Are they both younger than 10? I mean, you started before you had kids, is that right?
My daughter is 9 years old and my son is 4 years old. We shot the pilot or the home video during our first flip when my 9-year-old was still in my ex's stomach. So you knew that she was pregnant and you were doing your first deal. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no excuse here because...
and I was totally broke and I borrowed against all my credit cards. Like I maxed everything out. I put it all on the line.
Dude, good for you, man. Because honestly, I have people coming to me and they use family as an excuse because, they don't want to cause any potential risk for...
It's like anything. I don't want to go to the gym. I didn't sleep well. I had a long day. Like nobody wants to go to the gym. Oh, actually, no. Some people are sick and they like the gym. That's not. But listen, you just have to set a plan and be motivated and set goals. Like no one is ever going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody is going to do it but you. So I just tell people, man, you just got to believe in yourself. It's not rocket science. Like I can tell you this, like in my opinion, I think it is way more difficult going to like Harvard University for 4 years than it is to go business. Like
hell yeah, man. I mean, and you go out and get a law degree, become a lawyer, and practice law for your entire career, and your life is going to be way harder than yours and mine.
What's harder? Reading, learning about flipping houses, reading books with like font that's this big, or reading legal books that are this big?
100%. I could say that about almost every career out there.
That's the difference. Just like with education, the reason people can do that, they go to law school, is because they know at the end they're going to get that degree. The reason people don't put in the grit for real estate because there's no guarantee. But what they don't realize is if they do what they're supposed to do, and if they're working like they're trying to get a freaking Harvard degree, they're going to be successful.
That's 100% true. And I know people that have positions that pay way less than law. that they work even harder than a lawyer would too, right? I mean, it's not directly related to how much you earn as to how hard you're working.
How did you ever say, you know what, man, you know what, I'm just gonna start flipping houses. I don't know nothing about it, but I heard, I can make some good money, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I got into real estate sales when I was 20 years old, and I found success early on in real estate. I made quite a bit of money fast. And
was that during the heydays? Was that during like pre-2008? Where okay,
yeah,
got it.
It was during the heydays, but even back then it wasn't easy. Super competitive. I was just out of high school. I was struggling. You're from Chino Hills, man. I was selling houses in San Bernardino for like $50,000. By the time I got my commission check, I can barely put the gas in my '85 Buick Park Avenue that I owned, right? So like back then, there was so many lessons learned. I learned what hard work was. So like anyone that's learned what hard work was, I learned it. And I became successful fast selling real estate because I just worked my tail off. And I got into house flipping after losing everything. So 2007-8 came around, I lost my house and my cars, everything I had. And when I say lose, like I didn't like go bankrupt or anything, but when I say lost, I had to sell everything I had because all of a sudden my bills were here and my income was here and I just couldn't afford it anymore. And I was just burying myself in debt. And I know so many of us have been through
I
that.
went through the same thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went through the same thing. Go ahead.
And some of my most successful friends today went through the same thing. Like every single one of us went through the same thing. And the best part about it is I wouldn't change it for the world because I wouldn't be sitting here today doing this podcast with you if that never happened. I might still be at that same house. You know what really helped me? So the divorce crushed me too, man. Like it was the lowest point of my life. Like it made everything else I've gone through look like child's play. That's how much I was affected by my divorce. And I was driving around Newport Beach one day and I was always just really depressed, man. I didn't even want to move. And it's like a movie playing over your head. I could have done this, we should have done that, we should have talked about this, and this isn't fair, that's not fair, this isn't fair, why? And then it hit me. Life isn't fair. The day that I acknowledged that life isn't fair was the day I started moving forward. It's not fair that this happened, but life's not fair. It's not fair that this happened, but life's not fair. So once that happened to me, I made a commitment that day to let the past go and start focusing on the future. And it's amazing how my life has changed when I understand that life isn't fair.
Wow. The day that I started to realize that life is not fair, that's when I started moving forward.
Yeah.
If that's not a quote that you guys gotta write that down and just maybe read it 10 times.
Yeah, because when bad shit happens, you think about it, you dwell on it. What if? How can I? And you know what? There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is accept that it's happened, understand that it's not fair, and move on. And that for me really, really helped me, man. That's really helped me get to where I got. And that's all you can do. So you took all that negativity and you just like super hyper focused. And I was reading a little bit about your story, man. I just love everything about it. And I know we got a little bit off subject, but yeah, dude, like we've been through a lot of similar things, and divorce is tough and life is tough, but yet we are here sitting together, smiling, laughing about the hard times. And that's one thing I want everybody to understand is that we all go through shit. Like it's not just you, it's not just me, it's everybody. And it's all about how you handle it. 100%. And I was terrible at handling it. I was a control freak. I wanted, I was like, I'm losing control. Like, how did this happen? And then I learned to just let it go, And I just want to shake people sometimes. And I'm like, just, if you let it go, because you've been thinking about that same thought every single day for years. Imagine if you no longer had to think about that. How would your life improve?
As entrepreneurs, and I can tell you're a type A personality, you're somebody who says, you know what, I know I can flip homes. I know I can make money. I know I can do this. You're used to controlling the variables.
How would you describe where you are now? Because it seems like it's at a really good place.
Well, I mean, it took 10 years, but I did just give her a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good. I'm just kidding. No, things are good, I mean, a few years ago, man, it was rough. Today, we're co-parenting, we're business partners, we're filming, and we're thriving, and I just couldn't be happier.
I've always been curious about how, especially co-parents, right? But then now you're engaged, she recently divorced. How does she and Christina and Heather, how do they get along with each other?
They actually get along great. I mean, there's not a lot of personal talk. Everything's about the kids. They're communicating schedules and sports and lunches and school, and You know, they just really, honestly, they do get along great.
What are the challenges of working with your ex?
I mean, well, where do we start? I'm just kidding.
But the show has not suffered. That's what's so great.
No, well, I mean, if you look at a couple of seasons ago, Flip or Flop, it's like, oh, you want to do this tile? I was like, and now like, oh, let's do the tile. It's beautiful. You know, so I'm just shocked the show survived that divorce. You know, now the divorce is history, and I feel like we have a brand new show with new life, new energy, new designs, new houses, and I feel like we got a round two.
You can feel that.
Have you ever thought that this is where you would be, dare I say this, rapidly after that moment in your life?
Oh no, I mean, after at that moment, I was forever single, never gonna get a girlfriend again. Here I am getting married. And two, you know, my entire career was on the line. You know, it was hard enough getting out of bed, and just imagine having a hard time getting out of bed and then going on TV. So it just took everything I had just to get through my days, and looking back, I'm glad I did.
And Tarek, your health too was a big thing back then. I feel like it all just evened out. If you can do it, I feel like you're gonna help a lot of people with your journey. Was that a hard part being on TV, like Scott said? When you signed up for this, you had no idea that all of a sudden everybody would be judging your every move.
Yeah, you know, I don't talk about this often, but I almost feel sometimes like I lost 8 years of my life. I know it sounds wild, but you know, I was sick with 2 cancers and a back surgery for 4 years. And then, I mean, the divorce to me was worse than all the health problems. So for 8 years, I was just not in a good place. And today, it's like complete opposite.
What do I say? It's got bright eyes. You know, like dancing eyes. When the eyes start dancing again, you can see it.
It's always in the eye.
Should we fix this or should we flip this? Wait, no, should we flip this or
okay,
not?
So here's
what do we do?
Here's something that's interesting. Obviously, this looks amazing, but
there's a but.
These cabinets, similar to these are actually a really older look, and normally they're a little bit peach. These are cabinets that I normally rip out, but if you look, the graining and how they whitewash them makes them super modern. It really works with the countertops, and I love
the floors, the gray herringbone.
Everything kind of ties in together. I like that there's no handles, right? Appliances are beautiful. My favorite part of this kitchen, actually. Look at these lights. Those are cool.
Are those hard to install? I don't do anything with construction ever.
You can install those?
Absolutely not. No. Could sell them.
I can't either.
I could sell them. I could sell them.
So like this is the heart of the house. This is where you have all the views. This is the entertaining area. So it has a wine fridge. You know, for me, like for a New York City place, I mean, $5 million seems really expensive, but I haven't seen the rest of the place yet.
Right, well there's 3 other bedrooms I can take you to that are gonna blow your mind.
All right, let's do it.
And there's roof space.
You know, there's really nothing I can think of that I would have done differently. I think I did every single thing it took to get me to where I got. Looking back, the only thing I would have done differently would be raising capital and holding the assets instead of flipping it, but let's be real, I was in my 20s and I didn't know how to do any of that. I just needed to make money and I needed to start the business, you know? But next cycle, I'm gonna take every single lesson I've ever learned in my life
and put it all in.
Put it all in next cycle. You're buying and raising and holding as much real estate as I possibly can.
100%.
Like I would prefer not to flip houses. I would love to hold on to every single asset I have. The problem is eventually you run out of money, and that's why I'm looking towards raising capital in 2020. Through all my roughest years, like I always needed that gym break, and it wasn't for the body, it was for the mind, you know. And you're working those 16, 20-hour days, like you need that hour and a half to just go unload and just push those weights around and just release that anger or energy or whatever's inside of you, you know? And I think fitness is really important. And let's be real here, right? How you feel is how you're gonna project.
Right.
And if you feel good, you're gonna project that way.
Yeah,
If you
and
feel
people
insecure,
feel the energy.
And I know, listen, I had cancer. When I had cancer, I was 235 pounds. I had a 38-inch waist. Like, I was a bigger guy. And then when I hurt my back, I went down to 169 pounds. Like, my health has been like a roller coaster. Like, now 195 pounds, I'm healthy, I'm good. And I know what it feels like to be in shape, and I know what it feels like to be out of shape. You know, and it's a big difference. And a big part of my success comes from my ability to set goals and go to the gym and follow through, and it's really important to take care of yourself. And I especially learned that going through the cancers.
Wasn't that amazing? Did you find your one-on-one conversation with Tarek El Moussa to be beneficial? I was wondering what you thought about surviving in 2 households, making millions in real estate, wholesaling without money, flipping houses in any market, flipping a $5 million penthouse, and going from rock bottom to real estate rock star. Leave a comment below and let us know which tip you're going to implement right now. Starting today, That's it for this video, Real Talker. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person as a token of your appreciation for the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon!